difficulties on the screen. So if there's anybody here who wants to speak in a public forum that's not about the rezone, please fill out a form and get it up here to me. I'm going to give them a couple minutes, see if we can get the screen working, or if not, we'll start. We're going to go ahead and get started. The screen apparently is not going to work tonight where we usually put our agenda up there. So we'd like to welcome everybody tonight to the Cheatham County Commission, August 18th, 2025. First order of business tonight is going to be the public forum. On the first person tonight we're going to call up is candidate for U.S. Representative Matt Van Epps.
So 20 minutes, I heard. No, just 2 minutes. Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Matt Van Epps. I'm a candidate for Congress to succeed Mark Green. Commission, thank you all so much. Mayor, Sheriff, thank you all so much. I'm a Christian, a husband, a father, a conservative, and a combat veteran. I'm a West Point graduate, was an Army combat helicopter pilot. I flew Apache attack helicopters, deployed to Iraq for 12 months, and then was assessed and selected for the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment right up the road here at Fort Campbell. I deployed 8 times to Afghanistan with the 160th to take the fight to the enemy, to kill or capture terrorist high-value targets in Afghanistan. It was so honored to do that. After leaving active service, I went on to work in small business and in state government, most recently as the commissioner of the Tennessee Department of General Services, where I was honored to lead a team of about 400. We were also honored to receive a Top Workplace Award, and we like to say we were doing Doge before Doge. I'm still serving in the National Guard, in the Tennessee Army National Guard. I'm a lieutenant colonel, a deputy brigade commander, and serve in a unit called 30th Troop Command. So why am I running? I'm running because duty on our country for me is core to who I am. I was raised on faith, family, and freedom. My mom was lower middle class, raised very poor, and where if she got an orange for Christmas, it was a good year. My dad, also lower middle class, was drafted into Vietnam, was an infantryman and tunnel rat, and had a severe combat experience and suffered severe post-traumatic stress his entire life. Neither my mom or dad went to college, but they raised my brother and I on faith, family, and freedom, and we're both West Point graduates because of them. I'm running because I have a young daughter, and I want what's best for her and her generation, to stop and keep woke ideology out of the country, to keep fighting for our upcoming generation so that they have prosperity and opportunity, so that they put the phones down and get outside and play like we used to. That's so important to me. I'm running because I'm an America First conservative. I fully support the president and the speaker, and I want to fight for all of us for prosperity, opportunity, and freedom, to fight on behalf of our district, our state, and our country. And I'm so excited to do that. Our best days are still ahead. I'll wrap up by saying this. There's a long time Van Epps family saying that my grandparents told my dad and uncle when they were in Vietnam, and they told my brother and I when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's chin up and head down. That means to stay positive and avoid the bullets. And that's what our campaign is going to do, is going to fight really hard on behalf of all of us, because we are one team. I'd be so honored to have your support and your vote. For more information, my website is mattfortn.com. That's mattfortn.com. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your service and for what you all do. Honored and humbled to be here tonight. Thank you for the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. John Llewellyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. My name is John Llewellyn. I live in the 5th District, and each of the commissioners I gave you a flyer. I want to talk to you very briefly about safe haven
Sanders.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Bob Sanders. I'm from Kingston Springs, 6th District. Mr. Mayor, fellow commissioners, fellow Cheatham County. I'm coming to you tonight to talk about an issue that I came before once. And I think if you get the exchange, the Nixle system had a big article about how they provide a service. If you sign up, you get warnings of danger, things going on in your community. The only thing we get from Nixle is traffic accidents or a tree across the road. I did talk to Linda Nichols at 911. I asked her why we don't get warnings. Like Kingston Springs, for example, last Wednesday night had a wanted criminal doing 85 miles an hour down Main Street. He wrecked 3 times, then got out of the car and got into a neighborhood. Folks, we deserve better than that. We need to be warned somehow by Nixle or by 911. And for them to say they're too busy to do that, not only Kingston Springs, but the whole county needs that service. I don't think they provide this service at this time. Their mission statement says to provide professional, rapid, and efficient emergency communications between citizens of Cheatham County and public safety organizations that protect them. We're not being protected by this system. So I ask that y'all look into it once again and see if Linda Nichols can do something. Hire somebody. I mean, my goodness, we pay taxes. Let's get somebody out there to take care of the citizens instead of having these things run rampant and nobody knows what's going on. That's all I've got to say. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you will consider my request.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak in the public forum? I have one here, Mr. Steve. Well, you're wanting to speak about the rezone? Okay. All right, come on up. Sir, I want to ask you to come up here where the mic is. I should have told them, but right here. Right here. Your podium.
I got several phone calls last week. Someone had come up here and say that he was representing a developer down Paiute, Sioux Trail, and Apache Trail, and made it sound like it was me. He then apparently followed her down to her car and threatened her. I just want everyone to know that I have nothing to do with that person. He did not represent me and has never represented me in anything involving development. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would speak in the public forum that hadn't given me a forum? I'm going to close the public forum at 6:13. Mr. Sheriff, you want to call us to order?
All right. This legislative committee of Cheatham County is in session on this Monday, August 18th, 2025.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for your love and mercy. We thank you for your many blessings. Lord, tonight, as we're here making decisions for our county, communities, help us to make the right decisions. And Lord, watch over all those who serve, protect the Sheriff's Department, EMS, and health folks. Lord, watch over our students and our staff and our teachers as they just started the new school year, that you keep them safe, protect them. And Lord, help them, the little guys and the big guys, just to learn and to grow up to be great citizens of Cheatham County. Watch over our state and watch over our nation. All we ask this all in your name. Amen.
Amen. Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
David Anderson.
Here.
Alton Blackler.
Here.
Randy Knight.
Here.
Jim Williamson.
Here.
Chris Gilmore. Here. B.J. Hudson.
Here.
Bill Powers.
Here.
Walter Weaver.
Here.
Diane Roberts. Here. Eugene Evans.
Here.
James Hinton.
Here.
Mike Whitmore.
We have 11 present, 1 absent. We do have a quorum. On the agenda tonight, I left something off. We talked about it at the workshop Monday night. You did get a copy of the resolution where the impact fee. If it's so be with the commission tonight, I'd like to add that under new business, about the impact fee. Is that okay with everybody? So do I have a motion to approve the agenda with item C being the resolution on the impact fee? A motion by Mr. Weekly, second by Mr. Powers. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Approval of the minutes for July 21st, 2025. Motion by Mr. Hudspeth. Second by Mr. Lovell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any comments from elected officials? We don't have any unfinished. Under new business, first, do I have someone's going to speak tonight for the public response and commentary on the proposed Bells Bend development? And if you don't mind, step up here. Steve.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor, Commission, thank y'all for letting me come and speak tonight. My name's Linda Ryder. I live out in Kingston Springs near the Narrows of the Harpeth. And I'm here to talk about the development that's proposed by C.B. Ragland Company and SV Capital at property known as Bells Reserve at 1548 Old Cedar Hill Road outside the city limits of Kingston Springs. And before I talk about that, let me just mention I've been in Kingston Springs for 30 years. I've been in commercial construction for 42. I retired about a year and a half ago. So I've been down the commercial construction road for a good long time in Nashville, worked for some big commercial contractors and engineering firms for the state under the Department of General Services, and for the Airport Authority, and most recently for Metro and the Permits Department. I also spent a 4-year stint on the County Planning Commission. It's been quite some time ago, so some of you may not remember me, but it's been a while back, but at least I'm a bit familiar with codes issues and the like. Anyhow, thanks, Commissioners, for everything you do. You got an incredibly difficult job, and you really commit a lot of time to it that you take away from your families and everything. Everybody does appreciate that more than you may realize. Anyhow, the project, unfortunately, I don't have my pretty pictures to show you tonight, but the commissioners do have these pretty pictures, and I'll make them available to anyone that's interested in them. The lead developer on this project, Michael Hayes, and I refer to the developer, I'm often going to be talking about him, mainly talking about him. I said he was unable to attend tonight because he had a previous commitment. And he may have someone here listening in on his behalf, I don't know. But I asked him to attend and provide the same presentation that he made to the July 14th County Commission workshop in regard to this proposed development. Their development plan hasn't been formally submitted even to the Planning Commission yet, but I think it's important for us as 6th District residents to have some statements now, because it's very much in the eyes of the commission and being looked at very, very closely by commissioners. My main reason that I guess inspired me to come and speak was that at that workshop, when that workshop was announced, there was no notification that this issue was going to be discussed to the public. and otherwise the public would have shown up. And that's why I wanted Mr. Hayes to show up tonight, and he was unable to do so. I understand they've met probably most of the commissioners individually in addition to me doing this presentation at the last workshop. So because of that, a lot of us county residents are pretty wary that this development could be pushed through with the county commission and or some way or another have decisions made without the public's input or the public's even knowledge possibly. And all of you commissioners, presumably if this development moves forward, you'll have an opportunity to vote on it once it's formally submitted, but our preference was to have someone speak to the whole commission, not just a couple of representatives at a local meeting later on when the whole commission's not present to hear what we have to say and what our feelings are about this project. So, the first thing I was going to show you was a flyer that was handed out to residents, and I think they're still probably distributing some of them, a 2-page flyer about Bells Reserve and showing the proposed development there. Bells Reserve is located, if you know where the Narrows of the Harpeth is, and you know where the canoe takeout is at the Harris Street Bridge, the road that, right when you go into the Harris Street Bridge canoe takeout area, the road keeps on going. It passes another piece of property, and then you're in this parcel of land. There's also a private access road that you can get to it right now from Old Cedar Hill Road. It's 560-something acres, 567 acres, I think. And it's been described as a $250 million commercial investment with about 80 upscale rental cottages and 40 luxury rental residences. And these are supposedly 3,000 square foot houses, $2 to $5 to $6 to $7 to $8 million a piece. They're all going to rent them out. They're going to have a couple of restaurants, 1 or 2, a spa, a bunch of outdoor activities, including their own lake, a swimming pool, and all kinds of cool stuff that's going to be marketed to wealthy vacationers. Well, Mr. Hayes indicated his intention to submit this as a planned unit development, which is referred to as a PUD. You folks are, some of you at least are familiar with that. The commission is, certainly. Now, I mentioned the last workshop and not having public notice. One of the things I wanted to show you, and I put into attachments for the commissioners, is that the 2 copies of the state law that requires public notice for meetings and what it actually says in regard to how you do that public notice for if a topic's going to be discussed. It says that not only do you have to have a public notice 48 hours in advance, but the agenda has to reasonably describe the matters to be deliberated or acted upon. And I have an FAQ page. Again, all this was going to be on the screen. That says that if there is discussion or deliberation toward a topic that the full commission is going to end up, or any legislative body is going to be voting on, and more than one person is present, and that makes up a meeting, and they better invite the public to it. And I just wanted to emphasize that because that didn't take place then. That's largely why I'm here right now rather than later. But really ask you commissioners and also the mayor's office and everyone else to please just make sure that you follow the intent of the law moving forward, and that's really appreciated. And I'll drop that there. Now, I can't show you a copy of the Cheatham County Growth Plan, which again I would love to have on the screen here tonight. Every so many years, this first started in like 2001. The state requires every county and municipal government, form of government within the state, to develop a growth plan and figure out what makes sense for having the best way for their county or their city to grow moving forward in the future, the plan for the future, so in terms of utilities and stuff like that. Well, Cheatham County has an approved growth plan. First, I think it was done in about 2001 or 2. The copy I have is in the commissioner's folders here. It was attached to a 2024 ratification by Ashland City, so I'm pretty sure this is current. Even the older one, I didn't see any real difference in. But anyway, Tennessee law requires any zoning that's done within the counties or the cities to follow their growth plans. And next to a set of attachments I have to the commissioners, they've all got ready access to just some sections from the zoning code, and I've I've highlighted several sections that mainly just show how the zoning code is in line with the state law, requiring you to comply with your growth plans and to perform, to do your zoning in the way that makes the most sense for your city, your community, or your county. And again, I can't show that to you tonight right now because I can't get it up on the board. But the proposed development that CB Ragland and SB Capital are putting before us, for a planned unit development, it would be a commercial planned unit development. So it would have to be a CMUPUD, is a commercial mixed-use planned unit development. And if you can look at the Cheatham County Growth Plan, which is available online, and I'll hope we can make copies of everything I have available to everyone afterwards since we can't be on the screen. A commercial high-density development like this can only be zoned, located in either an urban growth zone or a planned growth area. And the Narrows of the Harpeth area, which the 1548 Cedar Hill Road, Bells Reserve property, where it's located, right by the Tennessee Harpeth River State Park, directly next to the Harpeth River State Park, I should say, is well out of the Cheatham County planned growth area. And they can't meet the zoning requirements according to this. And what I wanted to also show you, and again, I've gotten into attachments that the commissioners have, is that Tennessee law mandates that all land use decisions made by the legislative body shall be consistent with the approved growth plan. It doesn't say, it'd be nice if you did, or you should unless somebody wants to do it, they want to give you a bunch of money to do something different. It says you shall make your decisions in conjunction and compliance with the growth plan. And since this property is located in the county rural area, not in the growth area, it's illegal to put it there to begin with. The zoning is not appropriate, and according to the law, you can't change it without going through you can't just do a variance. You can't just do a zone change. You can't just do a conditional use permit, because based on your own code and state law, and I have backup for this in the attachments I provided that I've highlighted, it's not allowed. Now, that doesn't mean they can't go around the law. A lot of folks have gone around the law for other things, and this particular developer has very deep pockets. These folks are used to getting their way. They're well connected, but that doesn't mean they should be able to do something that's totally against the state law and also our county law. I've got the details in the presentation of the limitations on variances and zone changes and the like, or when your property, maybe it's too narrow, or the setback's not enough, or you need to change something, the height of the building or something like that, you might get an approval for a variance on specifics that are specific to that property that don't affect the use of the property. The big thing my point that I was making in my attachments that are referring to the zoning laws and variances is that all through there, they're consistent with the state law that says what you do needs to be has to be consistently following the approved growth plan for your area. So, there's a place called South Hall in Franklin that has been mentioned by several folks. It's an example of what this venture would look like, what this development would look like. Basically, we're talking about a giant subdivision, a gated community. It's private, and it is for the ultra wealthy, pretty much, because we're talking places that rent $3,000 or $4,000 a night, and cabins might be $1,000 a night, something like that. Anyway, South Hall is located just a couple miles outside the Franklin city limits, and it's in a municipal growth area. The zoning there is MGA 1 for municipal growth area. I've tried to find out I got the zoning for Blackberry Farms, which is in Wallen, Tennessee. I'm not familiar with it, but that farm has been there for I think 50 years or something, if not longer than that. And the zoning there is R1 and R2, but I did not find anything in their codes that prohibited them doing that there. But now, if a planned unit development is allowed to be the zoning were to be changed to allow planned unit development next door to the Narrows of the Harpeth. This is a high density development. Again, we were talking 120 residential houses that are intended to be rentals. There's going to be a party barn, event center, maintenance buildings, the spa, and all this good stuff, the two restaurants. because this is high use, high density, once that zoning is granted for planned unit development, the planned unit development regulations for the county, which I did not include a copy of any of those in your handouts, allow the owner of a property, once they got that approval, they can come back later on and say, well, you know, we finished that build, and I think we'll do another phase. Let's put another 100 houses out. And once they've opened that door can't be shut very easily anyway. It's much more difficult to open that door on the front end and get the necessary approvals if you follow the law, okay? And this planned unit development absolutely conflicts with the character of the community. If you're not familiar with the Narrows of the Harpeth, it's kind of a pristine area that is very heavily used by kayakers and canoers, sightseers, going up on the ridge. It's mostly farmland around, pretty much farmland, a few homes on 5 acres or more, because it's all ag. But there's nothing even remotely resembling a subdivision in the area, and there should not be, because the zoning regulations don't allow it. And one person told me that this development, even though it doesn't meet the zoning laws or even state law, that it could be passed through and just slide on through, because they could call it agritourism, because they're going to have kayaking and horseback riding. But you know what? The definition of agritourism is one thing I also included in these handouts, which I'm going to put on the screen. Agritourism is intended to be for the use of the general public. Agritourism activity means any activity carried out on a farm or ranch that allows members of the general public for recreational, entertainment, or educational purposes to view or enjoy rural activities. And it goes on. I didn't read it all, but that's the pertinent part. This development is not for the general enjoyment of agricultural activities to the general public. This development is a luxury gated subdivision that will be rented out, and the business purpose of this development is to manage the property, sell houses, and rent out the houses that once they're sold. And the cottages, I think, are not going to be sold. Just the big houses, I think they're planning on selling off, as I understood it. It does not qualify as agritourism by any stretch of the imagination, as I can see. If you look at and this is the definition provided by Tennessee State Law of the Code, and I included a copy of that in the handouts for commissioners. If you keep on looking at this development and the location of it, it's in a bend of the river, the Harpeth, right next to just almost adjacent to the Harris Street Bridge, just past the park, and one more piece of property. And the lower area of that property is in a high-risk flood zone. Now, Mr. Hayes has assured me that his planners have made arrangements are planning to make sure that the houses are elevated enough that they're out of the floodplain. Well, there's a whole lot of people in the 6th District and a lot of other places too that were around here in 2010 that can tell you my house was out of the 100-year floodplain, and I ended up it had 4 feet, 5 feet of water, and your house got wiped out. Our own house, where I live, we're still out of the floodplain of even the 500-year floodplain according to FEMA and their flood map. But we had 2 feet of water in our basement in 2010. So you cannot rely on the FEMA flood maps or any of the flood maps to accurately say what's going to happen. And you know, flooding's been happening more and more recently. There's more development everywhere, and the water has to go somewhere. And when you put 125, 30, and then maybe more afterward, new buildings up in a place right next to the river that's already known for flooding, when it does rain, you've got all these roof surfaces now, and pavement in the planned unit development going to these houses, or I don't know if it's going to be asphalt or how they would do it, but it's no longer permeable, so the ground doesn't soak it up, and all this is just runoff that goes straight to the river. And you add that to the construction runoff that's going to be created in building this development. Mr. Hayes assured us that it would take about 2 years to build it. Well, remember, he's showing this at least 3 phases. And I'd say he'd be doing it good to get the first phase done in 3, 4 years. Maybe 2 or 3. But with 3 phases, you're looking at a good solid 10 years of just construction. And that's noise, debris, and the like, and traffic, construction equipment traffic on local roads. Also, they do not have any road frontage, and there are several properties abutting it that they're going to have to make arrangements with. They would have to make arrangements with, and to get access granted to their properties. And they've been changing their minds a bit on where that was going to be. Last week when I talked to Mr. Hayes, he was telling me it's included the best location to enter the property for the main entrance would be at the takeout of the Narrows and go straight through there, which they'd be going right through the middle of all those people that are taking out those boats and stuff. And I've also heard they'd want to have their access or potential access up on Old Cedar Hill Road. And this is a tiny little loop road that goes from around Cedar Hill and comes back out. Has one house on it. Well, actually, that you can see. There's a couple other houses that are up on the hill beyond it. But one of the most affected houses on that road is a cute little Airbnb that's owned by a Cheatham County resident. And the entrance where they're talking about, if they were to put their entrance here, it would be right in front of that. And you're talking about 10 years of construction traffic zooming by there. Construction starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. So much for the charm of this little rural and quiet Airbnb that would destroy, or really hurt this family's business that they've worked really hard to build. Now, there's no water supply at the property. And they have said they're going to bring a 6-inch water main from the other side of the river across to serve their development. And I haven't located exactly where that comes in from. It would be the White Bluff side. And that's all fine and dandy, except for, there's a lot of us down there that live in the bend of the river that we still can't even get to. And that's kind of a slap in the face that they can have this gigantic development, and they're going to bring in their own city water. We asked them about sewer. They've repeatedly said that there will be no sewer discharge into the Harpeth River. And the last comment that Michael Hayes told me was they were going to have some kind of a self-contained system, and I'm not familiar with this because this is not my bailiwick for sure. But he even talked about hauling it out by truck. Were you talking about 125 or 30 houses? Now the cottages would be much smaller. They're like 600 to 800 square feet, but the houses are 3,000 square feet or more. You're talking about hauling this out by truck. Sooner or later, it's going to end up in the river. Some amount of it's going to end up in the river. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that as far as I'm concerned. And even if they manage to contain it on a normal basis, when it floods, the whole game changes. Nothing is the same. And people that live in this area recognize that and have dealt with this for a lot of years. And we've seen things we never thought we would see 30 years ago, too, where we live as far as the water is concerned. Also, the Harpeth is really severely impaired already, and most people know this. The public's pretty well aware of this. There's a lot of pollution in the Harpeth River. Most of that is from sewage discharge. And whether it's sewage discharge or runoff from the houses and buildings on this property, the properties downstream are going to be affected by it. And when they start building these houses, if they do, this development, and put in a pretty little man-made lake for them to fish at, they can fish at. Yes, I know. But man-made lake, couple swimming pools, horseback, all this stuff. So you're showing a 3 to 5 acre lake, right in the floodplain, right on the edge of the severe floodplain. And lost my train of thought. The Harpeth is already polluted, but when they build these buildings, they're going to change the terrain, the layout of the land. There's no way they can not do that. And of course, they have to, because they want to build these buildings up to get them out of the floodplain, theoretically. And they're going to build their lake, and they're going to move that dirt and probably build their buildings up. But the properties downstream of that are going to be affected in ways that nobody can really ascertain until it happens, unless it happens. And it's just not good for the people downstream. It may affect the people upstream also. Now, what's gotten the Commission's attention about this project is a promise of bringing in a zillion tax dollars because this is such an expensive development. It's going to the wealthy people there. They're going to spend your sales tax. They won't have to educate their children, and that, I hate to say it that way, they won't have to educate their children in county schools. They probably won't because they choose not to. But they will still be using county services, and we have emergency services that are already very understaffed and in short supply in the area. The county has been trying to get a fire station built in our area for some time. The problem has been getting property that someone's willing to sell them for a fair price to be able to do it. This developers even said they would build us a fire station, but you still don't have anybody to staff it. You still have just the building, and the additional load on county services, it would be pretty dramatic in an area that doesn't have much anything right now already. But with all the money that this development is proposed to bring in, developers aren't known to bring in typically as much as they say they're going to bring in. A lot of it's pie in the sky, what they tell you in front end. And you know, maybe they will bring in a whole lot of money after the years go by and they finally get everything built out to its maximum level. But once they get that approval, they're going to say, you know, we might not want to do that after all unless you get that tax break. So much for a big chunk of your revenue, so to speak. They also talked about all the jobs they bring to Cheatham County, permanent jobs. Now, I agree there'd be some permanent jobs that can be filled by Cheatham County residents or are likely to be filled by Cheatham County residents. But by and large, for a development like this, they're going to bring in their own people that have experience in managing these developments. They're going to bring them in for another resort to get this up and going, and they're going to use their people for the most part. There'll be some jobs, but what they would be would probably not be the best jobs. Similarly, during construction, all the construction jobs that will be made available while this is underway. If you know the construction business at all, general contractors and subcontractors bring in their own crews. Again, they might hire a few people from the community, and some places that will be true, but I don't see that happening to a large extent in any type of development like this. Another thing, a luxury development like this is definitely going to increase property values, and that's great if you want to sell your property. If you want to stay there and keep raise your family there and keep it in your family, keep your property in your family, that's just going to make it more expensive to stay there. And over time, gentrification takes place. People get priced out of their land. They can't afford to stay there because it gets too expensive. We've seen that happening already in the last few years. Our property taxes have escalated. And there is proof out there that is a typical occurrence when a big development comes in. Not only does it raise property taxes, but once that development's there and these wealthy people, even if it wasn't wealthy, if it's just a big development brings in more businesses around the area because they want to, I could use another convenience store here. We could use a gas station here. We could use this and that. And next thing you know, so much for the rural character. The whole place starts to explode because this development has unleashed it. Now, the people that call this area home and plan to stay here, it's not very appealing to any of us. They say that you won't see it from here, but we're going to feel it for years to come because that construction noise and traffic will be going on at least 10 years, I'd say. And if you're up on the ridge and you go up hiking with your family and want to look at all the beautiful views, you think somebody's going to say, oh, look at that gorgeous big subdivision. Oh, so that's where all that noise is coming from, all that light's coming from, all that traffic is coming from. Oh, we thought this was a big place. It's a shame that happened. That would be really shameful, I think. And one of the last slides I was going to show was a satellite view of the area, and all you see are trees and rivers and farmland. And one of the comments I was going to make was this area really looked like it needs a gigantic subdivision, high-density subdivision. It's also been said that, well, if this doesn't happen, we don't know what's going to happen down the road. It won't be as nice as this. Something a lot worse is starting coming out. Well, the development company that owns the property right now paid like $6 million for it a few years ago. And they have, Bell's Reserve is kind of a playground for the wealthy right now. And that's pretty pretty much okay, I think, to most of the people in the area because these people come in, play on their four-wheelers, ride their electric bikes, do what they're going to do. They do have a couple of glamping spots, maybe 3 or 4. And then they go home. They don't stick around. They don't impose anything on really the people that live there full time. And this area is so historic, so archaeologically significant, and just downright beautiful. I mean, it's within a half a mile of Mound Bottom, Mace Bluff, if you're all familiar with Mississippian era Indian mounds in the area. If you haven't been there, you need to go see these places because they're really impressive. Montgomery Bell's Tunnel at the Narrows is across the street from it, and there's a ridge up there, they call it Tabletop Rock, at the very top of the building. I got married in that ridge and all up there. It's a beautiful place. It looks out over some beautiful farmland now. I really believe that the Narrows of the Harpeth area is absolutely one of the crown jewels in Cheatham. I mean, there's more than one. There are a lot of pretty places in this county. But I think you start getting up the list and pick places that people are familiar with. I think the Narrows of the Harpeth is going to be towards the top of the list on Cheatham County places people have seen and really enjoyed. There's even a story, I might keep track of my time now because I don't have my PowerPoint going. But if you ever heard of a songwriter and singer called Billy Joe Shaver, he wrote, "I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm going to down these 2 days." The story is, he was down in his luck, drinking, drugs, and this and that, and all the years of hard living. He went up on the ridge at the Narrows up by the Tabletop Rock, and he gave his soul to Jesus, and he wrote that song. And that song, of course, became a hit for John Anderson, and it's been sung by a lot of people since then. But that place has influenced a lot of people over time. The serenity, the beauty of this area, the fact that it's really, really private, is one of the reasons, and it's next to the river, of why the developer wants it. Well, it's the same reason the people here want to keep it here. They want to be away from the other mass development. Why do we want mass development coming on top of us? It's not legal for this type of development to exist in this part of the county. And they're not doing it for the sake of the community and all the money that the community they're saying they're going to bring into the community. And there would be a substantial amount of money eventually that would come in, I would suspect. But they're doing it because it will be a lucrative investment. They could care less about what the community really thinks because they just want to make a ton of money off of it. This is the development. Their business is making money.
Amen.
Now, the exact spot where this is located, and I would really like to be able to show this to you tonight. That tract, one side is the Harpeth River, for about a mile, I think about a mile and a half. Another side is Harpeth River State Park, and one little tract is about the corner below it. The other side is the Cheatham Wildlife Preserve. And that'd be they'd like to have it because it's such a beautiful place and isolated. If you can't figure out that putting a giant subdivision in between a wildlife preserve and a historic state park, you need to be thinking real seriously about just throwing this whole idea out right now because it's just ridiculous. I think it's insane, personally. A development like this in this area amounts to nothing more than just a small city. A big subdivision with an HOA, city water, fire hydrant, sewer. Again, utilities that people that live in the area can't even get necessarily. Some people can get some things. But community members want responsible development that fits in their community. And not development just because it promises tax income to the county or benefits its private industry. And that's one of the points of this. And number one, it's not legal. They'll have to skirt the law some way or another to do it. That doesn't mean they couldn't possibly do it, but this county should not be supporting it. This type of development is required by law to be in a planned growth area or an urban growth area. And you know what? The county's economic and development office could help them find a spot within the county that would be suitable, that's in a planned growth area, if they'd be willing to consider it. This is a prime spot for them. They really like it. And I understand why, because we really like it too. And don't let the developers fool you into thinking that this is agritourism. It is absolutely not agritourism. It's selling houses and renting out houses and bringing in money for their spas and stuff like that. This is not, that's not agritourism. That's not taking the family out to the farm to do farm events. No. So anyway, as I said before, beside the fact that it's illegal, in direct conflict with the county's growth plan, if you grant this zoning were to be granted here, it would definitely open the door to really increase density in the whole area after it's initially approved. It doesn't fit the criteria that's required, and they can manufacture a resort like this anywhere. They don't need a river. They don't need the state park. They don't need the wildlife preserve. They can go out anywhere because they're putting $250 million in it. They can build. It doesn't need to take away from the rest of us. To me, the best use of this property, ideally, would be to add it to the park, and the state park system tried to buy it when it went up for sale, but they couldn't afford it because they could only pay appraised value for it. At least put part of it in a land trust, which, might possibly be a possibility somewhere down the road. But as I understand it, when the investment group that owns the property now at Bell's Reserve was made this offer contingent on getting approvals to put this planned unit development in, they were just about to embark on enlarging their playground, which again has fancy four-wheeling, fancy e-bikes. I really don't know. I mean, if you look up bellsreserve.com, it tells you the things they do. It's nice. It's very nice. Caters to a subset of some of this same group of people. But it would absolutely, this kind of development would attract undesirable growth and would absolutely destroy the character and the tranquility of the Narrows of the Harpeth area. It would absolutely stick a dagger in the heart of the anybody that lives here will tell you that that's true. It should be welcomed in a planned growth area. Not necessarily everyone, because some people have their reasons for not wanting development as well, but it has to be in a planned growth area. And it's not wanted here, it's not needed here, and it's not appropriate for this area. And as commissioners, I know you're all representing the communities and the county, and you want to take everyone's best interest into account. And if money is the only thing you care about, you don't care about the county and the people or where they're living, because these people care about their communities and they want the place to stay, their areas to stay pristine like they are now. And I know you hear that all the time, but I implore you to reject this development all the way. Just tell them no and go find another place to do it. Work with them to find a place maybe within Cheatham County that does fit in a planned growth area. And I really appreciate that. And I thank you for your time, and I really wish I could show you all my pictures. That's the way it is.
Next on the agenda is the BSO resolution. I think you got a copy of it on your packet. On the resolution, there's an area where it says the committee will consist of 3 members comprised of the chairman of the commission and 2 of his designees from the commission. My thought on it, we could that's the area that we need to rewrite. Possibly say something like the committee will consist of 5 members of the commission appointed by the chairman of the commission. Has anybody got any thoughts on anything different? I mean, we've got more than 3 members now, so we need to do something and update this resolution.
I like 5 members on there, and I do like that you appoint them rather than being the chairman.
It's not in this, but just like every committee, the chair is elected by when we did meet separately, but just like the beer board and road and bridge, you elect inside your committee, you elect the chairman. So I'll give this to you. Is that agreeable with the commission for that to be added? Strike. I've got it here. We're going to strike out and just say the committee will consist of 5 members of the commission appointed by the chairman of the commission. Do we have a motion? Motion by Ms. Lovell, second by Mr. Anderson. Any questions or comments on this? We just need to clean it up.
I'd like to hear Walter and Jimmy's opinion on it. You've been a part of the board.
favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None motion carries. I'll get the, can you give me one of those copy of those? All right, next on the agenda, about the impact fee. Did everybody get a copy of the resolution? Right. Post, it would really stay the same other than the impact fee is set at $5,000. So we have it on the agenda tonight to look at either leaving it the same, raising it. It's up to the commission to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move from 5,000 to 15,000.
So a motion on the floor with Mr. Anderson to go from 5,000 to 6,500, which would be a $1,500. And motion. There you go. Just general.
I thought that was what we're supposed to do anyway.
So, we talked about in the workshop that any amount that we raised, that we would put in a restricted line just for either building a new school or adding on to a school. Can we do that? So we can vote on it tonight, a year from now, come back and change it.
When this all started,
Hold on, before we got a motion, have we got a second? Hold on.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Anderson to raise the impact fee by $1,500 to go in ed debt for use of building or remodeling of a school. Second by Ms. Lovell. Okay, discussion.
when all this started in 1963, most of you probably not that old, but I remember. It was $2 for a car, $2 for a motorcycle, $5 for a car, and $8 for a taxi cab. Most people don't even realize it. did have a tax care back then. In '67, the cost went to $15. All this money at that time went to road department. It was called a gravel fund. In '72, when the new high school was built out on Highway 12, that's when it was increased. And the amount was increased to $50.
Okay. That was the wheel stick fee, the $50. We're talking about the impact fee that costs when you buy, when you build a new home or any residence, pay that fee on top of permit fees. That's the wheel stick fee. Now,
Well,
we're not touching
it
that.
all goes back to the same thing, though. If the money had been put in where it should have for all these years of a wheel tax, we wouldn't be talking about having to change money for the impact fee. So, I'm not against raising the impact fee, but I think if you're gonna raise it, the money needs to be designated for new construction.
Well, that's what's in there.
And not just throw it into the general pot, because when you throw it into the general pot, you know what happens. Somebody uses it.
So right now, the motion is for the $1,500 to be placed in ed debt for the use of building or remodeling schools.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend that motion. Bring it up to 75. Same stipulation.
So we have a motion to amend the original motion to go to $7,500 to go into ed debt for building or remodeling schools. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Weakley, second by Mr. Edgepath. Yeah, we need a date on this, date. What, the original, trying to look up how it's broke down now.
Well, what I talked about last week was, at one point the commission had taken it down to $50. Taking it back to the 5,000 that it is right now, we gained several million, and we lost several million while it went down to $50. We gained several million, so it definitely has an impact on that to come back in to cover these expenses when we need a school. The other point about this impact fee is if they're not billed, we're not having the stress on schools and more people coming in. But if they do bill, we now have them the skin in the game to put, whether it be $7,500, $6,500, whatever you decide. The current rate is at $5,250 going to roads, $47.50 going to schools at debt. And so, Mr. Walker, I think you're saying take 1,000 of that existing plus add 2,500 to it and take it to 2,500.
Correct.
So the 1,000 and the 2,500, 3,500 at the new 7,500 price would be in a reserve, so to speak, to go on for construction.
So we have an amendment to the original motion to $2,500, but also, but add a total of $3,500 to go in that restricted line. 1,000 of the original 5,000. 2,500.
Sounds like a lot, but the median house, what is the median house in Melbourne?
school needed to add, if the schools needed to add like an addition, a new construction to their building, that will cover it. Am I correct on that?
That's the way I see it. That's the way it's a new construction and or addition. But I don't see no new construction being added to any school in Cheatham County, and we continue to lose students.
Well, I was just trying to get clarification, Mr. Mayor. That's all I'm trying to do. But you got old buildings in the school district. You do.
Well,
So, I mean-
that's upkeep. That's not new construction.
Even still, you got old buildings. You got buildings that were built in the 50s. What if you have to add to that? So, I disagree with you.
The breakdown would
That's why
be,
we're here.
the breakdown would be $3,750 into a restricted line, $250 to roads, and $3,750 in ed debt. Does that sound right? 75. We have a motion, second, any other discussion? On the amendment, it would raise the impact fee to $7,500 from $5,000.
Oh, but you said the breakdown was 3750 for the restricted line, 250 for roads, and then 3500 for schools, or what? What'd you say?
3,500 restricted, 250 for roads, and 3,750 under. But go ahead, got it.
Okay.
Questions? We'll do a roll call on the amendment to the original motion. Nope, hold on. Oh, sorry.
October 1st.
Effective date October 1st. Any comments or questions on October 1st and $7,500 impact?
I understand why not. Just look at it from the perspective of new folks coming in and houses, and buying houses and stuff, and kids gonna be going to school through this. I understand that, but I just thought the 50 was
Anybody else? That gives, 6 weeks.
What are your thoughts? You're thinking so?
It's not, I don't think it's
It's 60 of them.
I'll second November 1st.
I'm not asking for
Okay.
I'm just talking about the days.
What's the date?
I just think it's something that, November 1st.
So we want to, the motion is November 1st at $7,500. Anybody else? Question? Any call? Roll call, please. On the amendment. I mean, motion, yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 11 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. So we're gonna vote on the original motion as amended. Now it is, the original motion has been amended to read $7,500 starting November 1st, 2025. Any questions or comments?
Yes. Just to clarify. The vote yes. I'm voting yes for what we just voted for.
He amended the original motion to say 7,500 November 1st.
Okay.
So we're back to the original motion. As amended.
I'd just like to ask if this
I think 7,500 was the most in the state.
so we're back to where we were.
But that was 1998, when our average house in Cheatham County was less than $100,000. To be equivalent to that, we'd have to pass an impact fee of $28,000 to $30,000 on a $440,000 house.
I just don't want to stop. I just don't want to have a negative impact if you don't know.
No, I understand.
Questions? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody wish to change your vote? 11 yes, 0 no, 1 absent, motion carries. All right, moving along. Public hearing. Nope. Yeah, 5 minutes. Motion.